There is no business without a customer. So if there's no customer, there is no business.
Osagie Alfred, a man whose career embodies diligence, focus, and unwavering commitment to excellence. Osagie is a senior partner at West Norwood Realty.
What would you say about disruptive strategies in Nigeria? How should an organization place itself to guard against such? Because you can either disrupt or they disrupt you.
It's interesting that Nigeria or Africa is more or less lagging. We are responsive to innovations. When we interact with people, is it just what we want to get from them or their need?
What is your take on leadership and what it does to entrepreneurs generally? Hi Osagie, so we have a couple of questions. You already know about the academy, and we're trying to just create value for those that do not, those that want to sort of understand what the game is like. And this is really supposed to be very impactful. So one of the questions we have for you is that, with your experience in facility management, dealing with a lot of people, I couldn't have found a better example for customer experience, customer engagement, customer service than where I know that you have. I mean, short of the MTNs and the Airtels, or a telco company that just has a lot of people calling. This is where you have people having issues, their daily lives, diesel, petrol. In fact, when diesel got increased, I mean, the kind of business we do a lot of stuff together, and you realize that once they increase diesel, all of a sudden you have that whole pushback from the customers. So we want to understand, for the purpose of those in the academy, to understand how one can navigate through this, because most people will look at this and sort of run away from the situation. They don't know how to come at it. They don't know how to ask for increased prices. They need certain talents, they need certain skills. I want you to be able to just talk through your business and how you've been able to navigate customer care, customer engagement, customer experience throughout that entire experience so far.
Okay, thank you, Architect Jide. So, there is no business without a customer. So if there is no customer, then there is no business. And that's why they say customer is king, but at the same time, customer is not right. It's not always right, rather. So for me, as a facility management professional, from that perspective, I would say that every person that stands and complain or request for something, the person is not standing or saying what he or she is saying because the person hates me. Not because the person dislikes me or there's an issue. It is primarily because the person is pained somewhere and the person wants to fix it. Yeah. So it is first for me to understand the fact that this is a customer. Yeah. This is not Mr. Latif or Mr. or Mrs. Joker.
So you don't take it personal.
There's no person. So I am not seeing, because we must be careful how we label people. The labeling affects us. Okay, I'll give a good example. If the Oba of Lagos comes and walks up to me and say, Osagie, there's no water. That's one person. Then a motor park leader comes, there's no water. If I'm not careful, I'm going to respond to them differently.
Absolutely.
So when I say differently in the sense of, KBSU, even before responding to him in a way, but this other guy, my friend, what's up? No. So professional customer service means that they are both equal within that space. It is when they are in different spaces that I deal with them differently. But first, I see them, if they are in the same cluster, in the same environment, they have the right to be listened to. They did not just pick their phone to just talk. But let me just also say that sometimes some people go through boredom and they just want you to help them fix some things. They just want to talk. Some just want to hear you out. I can remember a particular case came to my mind just now, managing the tenants in a particular property in Maryland. And I went for routine inspection. One of the things the woman beside the house said was, please, Oga, I don't like how these ladies are behaving in this compound. Oh. You need to manage how they dress. And I was like,
How is that related?
So it was a concern for her. So as a professional, I must show empathy. Whether it makes sense or not, to her it makes sense. So I need to show empathy. And the reason I'm showing empathy to her is because I first labeled her as a customer who is not happy. So now the principle is never leave a client worse off than you met the client. Never leave a client the same way. Just a little hope changes the experience. Just what sometimes they know that you cannot solve the problem. What they just want to hear is they just want you to narrate the situation. So somebody was living in a property in Ikoyi, and he was complaining about water, and I had to visit. So when I visited, I found out that the explanation of the technician was not right. He just said, sir, I'm working on it. I'll get back to you. But what the man wanted to know, because you need to identify the classifications of customers. Some customers are analytical. Yeah. Some are cholerics. Some are sanguine. That is why profiling people is very important. Because if somebody is a choleric and you start to tell the person, okay, sir, you know what we will do? We need to do this. The guy has no time. The guy wants you to tell him, when are you going to fix it? And you must be intelligent enough to respond. If a sanguine, the sanguine is just talking, you better come and fix this thing. And you think the guy is not serious about what he's saying. The moment he or she sends an email, you will know that that person is very serious about it. Then you have that analytical person. So what do you want to do? That thing you must tell me. It must make sense to me. If I give you one answer, it's going to be different from the answer I will give Adekola. Because you are Jide Adekola doesn't mean I should give Femi Adekola the same answer. Okay. You are two different persons, different scenarios. I must profile you differently to be able to respond to you. So sometimes it requires a lot of psychology. And sometimes you need to go to those people's houses. Meet them at a point where they are not under pressure. Yeah. But let me quickly add this, that before issues occur, because issues will occur, you must have built some level of reputation with them. So if, for instance, let me use a case study of development, HomeWork. Yeah. So if I'm going into development and I have 20 subscribers, I create a customer service of reputation to them, that when I call them, is a reputable guy that is calling me. It is not the developer I bought house from or I've given deposits to. The first thing, the guy that is calling me has integrity, is very important to me. You must make them know that you are an important person to them. Because if you sell an idea of, we are with your money, the conversation will always go along that. So what are you going to do? Oh, what is this? Oh, what is that? Those are the conversations you start to have. So once you profile everything, it helps you to hold engagement, conversations, because I can tell you the worst of the worst scenarios can happen, and those clients will not move. They would be the ones to tell other people that, you know what, let's cut them some slack, please. This and that, they are fine, they are okay. For instance, we're managing a facility. We gave the residents a dedicated facility manager. In the principle of budgeting, the person's salary should be paid by the client, but we are paying. We've been paying for years. So in one of the recent meetings we had with them, we were requesting for an assistant somewhere, and we told them that we need somebody. They were trying to help, they wanted us to help them make sense out of it. Yeah. Then we had to tell them that even this guy's salary has never been handled by you guys. He said, oh wow. So in customer service, you must show the client that I have taken something on your behalf.
Absolutely.
If you don't if you don't help them to understand the pain you go through to deliver what you deliver to them, they will not appreciate it. Yeah. They will always think you are not doing anything. Yeah.
So
and that is
there's a point that you brought out of here that I want to sort of escalate, and that's the fact that it looks like it's not just anybody that can handle customer service, because you should be able to profile your clients, and you're profiling multiple individuals. You probably need to learn a lot of emotional intelligence. You should probably be a psychologist.
Yes.
You know, so that means that, and this is also for those that are employing, those that are employers of labor. Who do you put on customer service? Are you profiling them properly? Because these are the kind of important things that, to me, I feel, and it's the essence of the academy. What is that profile of that customer service guy or customer service lady that you put on the seat to attend to people? If you could help with that profile, I mean, that's one important thing that I think will add value to the viewers.
So if you look at, I wanted to call a name, but I will use a pseudonym. Let me use my name, Mr. Osagie.
Yes.
Mr. Osagie is a very strong activist and lawyer. And Mr. Jide, a politician, becomes the president of Nigeria. And you make Osagie your spokesperson. Osagie is going to run down your regime. Because
why so?
Because there is a certain body language an activist has. Because if he's very litigious, he may not be patient enough to know how to put words that will calm people down. That is why you see in situations that it is from a calm mind that speeches are written. So no matter the tension, a professional writer will take his or herself out of the pressure, sit and write a beautiful script for the president. And when the president comes out to read, oh, we understand this, and he's going through every point because the person is able to take him or herself out of that world, see it from a different perspective and attack it. So that's very critical. And that means that the person must understand empathy. Yeah. The person must have empathy. Emotional intelligence speaks volume around everything. Because who is the person? Do I really know myself? What causes triggers? So if somebody is already saying, you are a liar, and the person does not like to hear, you are a liar.
You have ego.
That may be a trigger, and before
trigger you
exactly. So
you patient.
Yes, you must know what works for you and what does not work for you. So for the company, they must test to know if the person really knows his or herself. That's why for some companies, what they do is behavioral tests. They don't ask yes or no, explain. What they do is sometimes they give case study. And what will happen is they bring in 2 of their staff into the mix of 5. Make one of their staff sometimes the leader. So they will give them about 20 minutes to solve a problem. And they are working up to like 15 minutes and they think they're almost there. One of those guys will just eat the matter in the wrong perspective. And once he eats, scatters everything. They want to see how those people will respond in that situation. At that point, the person is, here's my interview. This is this, or this guy should not cause trouble for me. So real life scenarios start to occur. Reactions start to occur. And you start to pick the way people are talking. Those guys, we pressurize those guys. The internal guys will add pressure as if, please, this may mean nothing to me. I don't care about it. Mine is that this is what it is. I don't think you're acting like a good leader. I don't think, start to push. I start to see the body language of the people. How is the person able to manage those situations? That is one. The other part is, that's aside from the behavioral process, but picking out traits. Patience is very important. The ability to listen, active listening. So while you are asking the person questions, so I can go on in an interview and I'm asking questions. I've asked the question and I stop. So what do you have to say? I'm not asking you to tell me anything really, but I'm only trying to see whether you were able to get the fact that I did not really say anything. So I know you've said this, I know you've said this, I know you've said this, but can you help me understand where the question is so I can get you?
Get the pointers.
Because an active listener will rephrase what you have said present it to you to be sure that he or she, as that's why you see DSTV, MTN, you call them, they rephrase what you say. So what happens is, so if I get you right, Mr. Osagie,
there's always
you
that
said
repeat.
you have this.
If I get you correct.
Yes, this, all right, first. So it means that we have captured correctly what your needs are. Okay, so can you hold on? They start to tell you, this may take 5 minutes, this may take 3 minutes, this may take 2 minutes, and the likes. So it helps to manage the client's expectation. Some will tell you they want to fix it immediately, but you're trying to tell them that, all right, I know you want it done immediately. However, these are the processes, these are the challenges. Some will say, we don't work like that. That is not a good response. As far as the client is concerned, the client did not sign up to understand your processes first. That is your back-end issues. What the client wants is, I want hope. I want happiness. Okay, madam, I know that what you want is delivery of the project, right? Okay, now, when we do this, this is what happens. Lagos State does this, Lagos State does this, Lagos State does this. Now, because we have been proactive to have sent information to people when they happen in the environment, it makes it easy for us to use those things to explain to them. When the things, so what happens a lot of times, when things are okay, we don't communicate those good things.
Yes.
It is when it is bad, they will now come back to say, how do we bring everybody together to have a discussion? They will not listen to you at that point in time. They will say, oh, you have taken the money, you have gone. So it means that as you're having conversations with people in the interview room, you must confirm in a way that they are listening to you. 2, they are honest. If they don't know it, they should say they do not know it. It means that such a person will be with a client and say, oh, I think I need to clarify that. Let me go back to somebody. Instead of saying, sir, I know that this, whereas the client will then tell you, but this man said this when it wasn't the case.
Yes.
So it means that you must be honest. You must be patient. You must have emotional intelligence. To have emotional intelligence means that I need to know myself, actually. I need to be able to deal with issues. And having emotional intelligence means that I have issues at home. I don't bring it to the work. To work. And if I'm bringing it to work, the office environment must be able to see that something is happening and we need to engage this person so that the person doesn't engage with a customer. And I've seen situations where I was with someone and a boss just called. You have not done this, you have not done this. Sir, I've done it. Sir, I've done it. And the boss called. I've checked again. You've done. Please. What are you trying to say? Tell me, sir. Are you trying to? Is it because you are the boss? You think you can? She just switched, and my eyes went up like from where to where.
That's definitely not a customer service person.
But I can tell you that person is a client-facing person. So why the boss touched one of our triggers and then she reacted. So if it was the client, so is it because you bought the house? Is it because of this? A last point I will give is a young guy went into a store in Port Harcourt to buy a vehicle and met some ladies at the reception wearing shorts. He was wearing shorts and slippers. It was raining. So it was wet getting into the place. So by the time he got to the ladies and he greeted them, please, I would like to check your Ford Explorer. And they just pointed. The guy just looked and looked and looked and they did not stand up. They were gisting and the guy, he was upset. When he got back to the office, he called his friend and said, I want to go and pick one Ford there. Not because I need it, but I want to show these people something. Yes. So he went back the following day, wearing something similar. They did not still stand up. He checked and he asked for the manager from someone else. The person said, oh, manager, this. He said he's ready to pay now. Manager said, hey, Blessing.
Which is one of the girls.
Please attend to him. He's speaking Nika. She was shocked. Now, labeling is a problem. The human mind raises to label people. We must be able to pull our mind back to say, this is a customer.
So whoever the customer is,
let me attend to the person.
In, you cannot sort of predict. I think this same example you gave, one of my mentors. You know, he was trying to sell a property, and he had this billionaire developer brought his friend from the States. The guy came very ordinary. This property was probably about $1 billion, and he didn't think that the guy could afford it. So he just got off the car and said, "Let my boy show you around," and he drove off. And the man walked away and bought the same property, bought something similar from somebody else. So you see how that is very important. So we're gonna pinpoint those things you've said, because they're very critical: emotional intelligence, not labeling, the kind of things to watch out for, patience, to ensure that whatever staff that is a good listener, and all that. I think that will be very, very useful. We'll just switch quickly to leadership. Leadership is entrepreneurship is a big thing. It moves the economy, but then again, you need to be a leader to be able to lead people right. So in terms of leadership, what is your take on leadership and what it does to to entrepreneurs generally, the entire workforce? And what are the key things in leadership you think, probably let me say leadership qualities you feel that one should have? Because everybody thinks they're a leader. You know, there's always this big distinct difference between a leader and a boss. You know, so I'd like you to just sort of give us the salient points of how a leader is. Again, for the academy, you're going to have people that will profile themselves and understand which part of them is portraying leadership and which part of them is not, because it's important to understand yourself so you know how to plug in where you know you have failed at. We're not saying everybody should be perfect, but plug in where you know you have failed, so that at the end of the day, there's that proper leadership in an environment.
Okay, I like the fact that as you were talking, I was listening and the word boss came to my mind, and I was glad you mentioned it because a lot of people are operating as bosses and they think they are operating as leaders. So if you are leading others, you are a leader. That means you are in front, you are guiding them, taking them somewhere. So that is what that's what leadership is about. The boss man is busy forcing them. So anybody that is operating under you by force is telling you that you're a boss. Anybody that is operating with a free spirit can walk in, knock on your door, have conversations with you. Just know you are a leader. One of the tests is how many of the people who report to you can share ideas with you. How many of them can tell you when you are wrong? So you did this. I don't think it's nice.
They're your reaction.
They're your reaction. Important. So people feel if I have this closed office, I am tough on a Monday morning meeting, shouting, that makes me a leader. No. Maxwell says leadership is influence.
Yes, I wanted to say that. The influence and inspiration.
Yes, so
if you do not influence, then you are not a leader.
Exactly. So what happens a lot of times is that you must be able to move from the place of being a follower to becoming someone that is now leading. Now, when you are a boss, you don't have followers. You only have forceful people following you. So that is why they say people leave people. They don't leave organizations. If I have someone on my team that an international company reached out to her within our space, and the salary was definitely going to be way more, the ambience, the exposure, and she looked at it and she said she wasn't going.
Why?
Because in a way, so I tried to understand why. Interestingly, I decided that I asked which company, she told me, and I drove her to the company.
Wow.
I took her into the reception area. I said, this is the company that wants to take you. Do you want this or you want us? So I painted a picture of where we are. And I painted a picture of where that company was many years ago. And I said to her, see, if you choose this, I will support you. If you choose this, I will support you. It's a function of where you are in life the journey you are making. Very fantastic stuff. And she looked and she said, initially she said she wasn't going to go. Before I took her there, she said she wasn't going to go. When I took her there, it was like big temptation. She said, okay, if I'm supporting her, then she was going to go. Then later, I said to myself that, did you just help her? So what you should do, Osagie, is paint the picture to her. So I narrated the picture to her. So I saw that she actually came to someone that could advise her. So I advised her, what are you going to do? This is the scenario here. This is the path that this is going to take you. This is the path it's going to take you. What do you want for yourself tomorrow? She painted that picture and I painted that scenario to help her make a decision by herself. She said she wasn't going to go. And I can tell you, she's better off not going because of several circumstances. Now, what people do not understand is the fact that if you work with a very big development company, you cannot get the exposure you get from GD in HomeWork.
Yeah.
So it is now a function of the leader in HomeWork being able to provide that level of influence. So one aspect of the leadership that I will talk about has to do with the trust. If you are leading people, you must trust them. You don't micromanage them. A boss will micromanage. Do this, and it's checking. So when a follower feels like you don't trust the person will lose interest. Your influence is gone.
Yeah. I think another important thing is if you kind of like, you can tell the strengths and the weaknesses of those guys and you know where best to place them. Because there's this thing about right people, wrong seats.
Yes.
And the point is just like square pegs in round holes or round holes in square pegs. The whole idea is if you can identify what that person is good at and place them right, you're also a leader because you're also looking at how all of this can come together and just take you to that, final point. You also understand that you have to delegate support, where they need direction, you give them direction. Thank you, Osagie. But lastly, we're going to, there's this craze, this, new age where we talk about disruptive strategies. We have a course that we talk about examples like Uber, Airbnb, and we realize that what is common is they've created opportunity for people that normally cannot afford or normally don't even have access, and then just open it to that massive access. So a regular guy can take an Uber, can take his vehicle and say register, and he now has that. They just use the platform to engage. The same thing with Airbnb. Same thing with so many financial platforms. So what will you say about disruptive strategies in Nigeria? What will you say disruption is? What do you think we should look out for in the future? What are the things that, in like Africa, it takes us a while to just catch on some of these things. But what will you say one should look out for? How should an organization place itself to guard against such? Because you can either disrupt or they disrupt you.
So what I would say is, it's interesting that Nigeria or Africa is more or less lagging. So we are responsive to innovations. So right now, in more advanced economies, they've been running on some level of softwares, technology in concluding transactions. Even before virtual sign-off of document, as simple, as basic as it sounds, it has been existing in other climes before it comes here. Now, it might be a blessing in disguise for now. Why? Because it shows to the world the market that we have in Nigeria. And it also tells us that if these people can think this way, then we can also think that way.
Absolutely.
And that is why Nigeria is catching up in some areas, trying to think through some things, solve some problems that we can take up to the international scene. Now, when it comes to disruptive strategies, disruptive ideas, you need serious R&D. How many companies invest so much in R&D in Nigeria? How much do we pay the research and development guys? How many developers actually spend money in research?
We're more reactive than proactive.
So somebody will tell you, okay, 2-bedroom flats in Lekki sells. It sells.
That's all.
And that's it. But these guys are looking at where we are. So as you were speaking, something came to mind. Another definition of strategy, of disruptive strategy, is new solutions meeting new needs. That's it. New solutions meeting new needs. So you are able to identify new needs that the market has not become so obvious of, and you have decided this will be the solution. So nobody knew about Airbnb. So guys, some guys just looked at it and they saw, okay, this is an opportunity somewhere that could actually lead to this. They saw the need and they said, okay, how can we provide a solution? Boom. It became, disruptive innovation in the apartment space, in the apart hotel thing. So who is paying attention to the next one? What time do we spend in trying to think through our businesses, innovations in the different aspects of our business? Now, because we are too much in a hurry to move from a point A to B without understanding things, it becomes an issue. So there was a time I was working with a development company and we're driving along Lekki Admiralty.
Yeah.
And the man saw a building with a balcony. There was a certain design. And when he saw it, he said, wow, this will reduce my cost by 50%. And when we did the calculation the following day at the office, it was about 50%. Now, he has passed that corridor several times. The building has been existing. It wasn't as if the building just came up.
Yes.
So how much aware are we of our environment?
Exactly.
When we interact with people, is it just what we want to get from them or their need? Because that helps us. So when we travel, what do we exchange? Is it just, wow, the ambience, the pictures, the memories, and we're not engaging? There was a day I sat down at one particular hotel and one expatriate walked towards me, said, I can see that you're reading something in real estate. I'm a researcher. Can I ask you a few questions? And the guy asked me some questions. 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes. He had the data he wanted. He had the KPI, the metrics to use to measure what he wanted to do. And he was checking. And that was 15 minutes. He said, thank you very much. And he was gone. And we exchanged cards. Before I knew it, he had done a booklet about Nigeria.
Basically, he knows the right questions.
Exactly. So when Palms Mall, the Palms was coming about 2004, 2005, the firm I was working with were part of the guys that ran the market research.
Yeah.
They were checking demographics along the entire stretch.
Yeah.
And when the decision came, we never knew it was Palms. If they did not do what they did, it would have been, it was not going to be possible.
Yes.
Or maybe, how should we design this thing? People make decisions and they are wrong decisions. So when it comes back to the built environment, the interesting thing is that just look at the advanced country and download to Nigeria. That is the next thing that will happen in Nigeria. Because if you are a business owner, except you are working in the retail space, you want to look at India. Because those are environments with similar population sizes, some level of similar demographics. So you want to use that to say, okay, this is happening here. How are they managing their credit risk in India? How are they managing their credit risk in China? So they have advanced technology. So they've used that to manage a lot of things. But we don't have that. So how are they doing? Brazil. So that is why when people are speaking in some functions, they start to use countries that are similar to us to achieve what we are achieving. Again, just to touch on the fact that a lot of things in Nigeria, for innovation to occur, disruptive ones in that matter, in that light, you would need to understand the structure of the industry. How many developers understand the structure of the Nigerian real estate industry? Using the 5 forces of Porter, by Porter, how do we analyze them? Using Pesto, how do we analyze them? Do we understand it? So somebody will say, oh, that my 32 units, I've done 32. That my brother architect, did they look at what he did? Good. So it's more of copycats. So when people have not seen that thing, because the people you did it for are in Ikoyi, and the guy downloaded it and rearranged it for maybe Abraham Adesoya, they'll say, wow, this is innovative. So that may work. If somebody else wants to copy him, it may not work again because it was just for his closed markets. Yes. So how we copy, what we call disruptive innovation sometimes are just copycats. And it's okay in the environment once it's meeting needs that were not originally found, that have been found, and you have brought in a solution to meet those needs. Then you are very, very okay. A good one was what we discussed about 6 months ago, Revest. So when we found out that people were trying to put money down for development, they don't have enough money. So what about reducing the barrier of entry? That is understanding the structure of the industry. Because one thing about real estate development purchases is that the barrier of entry is high. You need to go through mortgage, you need to go through this, you need to pay 20-30%. Yes. So you are breaking that barrier, you are low. You are
dealing with more people.
Exactly. So when you lower the barrier, it's easier for them to come in. Exactly. So because you have seen the challenges in that part of the structure, you are able to be innovative. So if you don't have an understanding of the structure, you cannot produce innovation. Innovation answers to understanding.
Perfect. So I think just to wrap it up, what I hear from you is there has to be R&D. It has to make sense. Your sort of research has to make sense, and it's a continuous research because you need to know what is coming at you in the future. And what is also important is what do you do with that? Aside from just copying and studying your environment, you need as much as possible to just get out there and understand as those things are happening in different sectors. You're beginning to x-ray it with your own business. You're looking at what is disrupting you and
yes.
looking at what you can disrupt.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Osagie.
Thank you.
Nice having you. Thank you.
Same.